Good evening and welcome to our special live broadcast here on CCTV News. I'm Zhou in Beijing. Well, Guangzhou is definitely the center of attention tonight with the opening ceremony of the 16th Asian Games just hours away. Celebrations have already begun in the host city because years of preparation have finally led to this glorious moment. And athletes from around Asia will be sharing the city's pride of staging yet another major sports event after the success of the Beijing Olympics 2 years ago. And for the next 45 minutes, we'll provide live coverage of a unique waterborne pageant leading up to the Games opening ceremonies. And we are happy to have our current affairs commentator, Professor Zhang Chuanjie, with us to help us to explain and analyze what is happening about the pageantry. While this parade is a prelude to the official opening ceremony of the Games, 46 exquisitely decorated boats are cruising along the Pearl River and heading for Haixinsha Island, where the opening gala will be held. While the boat leading the fleet is carrying officials, the officials from the Asian Olympic Committee, and the rest of the boats standing behind will be carrying athletes and officials from the 45 participating countries and regions in Asia for the 16th Asian Game. A stream of Guangzhou's landmarks are dotted along the route. We know it is the Pearl River. Some of the most eye-catching buildings include the People's Bridge, the Liberation Bridge, the Haizhu Bridge, many bridges on the Pearl River, which means Ocean Pearl. While the journey will also take them to Jiangwan Bridge, Haiyin Bridge, which means Ocean Seal, and Guangzhou Bridge will be the last stop before the fleet arrives at the final destination. That's Haixinsha Island, where the opening ceremony will be organized and held for the people from around Asia. While the cauldron of the 2010 Asian Games will be lit in less than 2 hours, like any international multi-sporting event, the opening ceremony will be the focus of the attention in the run-up to this event. And now let's get to our commentator, Professor Zhang, to share with us this moment. Of course, this is a very important moment for the Guangzhou people. They had made preparations for years to make this happen.
They actually started to, they wanted to organize this event from 1987. So it took them like 14 years to, it's more than 14 years to get this game. I think they got the game in 2004 or something, and then they spent like 6 years preparing for the event. I was in Guangzhou actually this summer, staying there for like 1.5 months. There was this construction everywhere. You can feel that, people just desperately, they want the games to be held in Guangzou at this time of the year.
So do you hear some complaints from the local residents about the pinch because of the organization and infrastructure building?
Yes, there's a lot of complaints about, as usual, the ordinary people complain about the construction, about the dirty air in Guangzhou, and also the traffic jams because of the construction going on. But again, the Chinese people are usually hospitable, they just want the games to be there. So I think more people are talking about the games in a positive way, rather than, complaining in a negative way.
I hope all their efforts will finally pay off with those games being staged.
Definitely. I think it will be a success. And they have done a lot of things very into the very details of the game, preparation of the game from every perspective. Including, they have this mobilized the firemen of the whole city and mobilized the police force for security reasons, and also for the cleaning of the streets, new pavements in the streets, and decoration of the residential buildings everywhere in Guangzhou.
What you are seeing now is what we call a line dance. This is typical Guangdong folk customs, because whenever a celebration or festival comes, the people in Guangzhou would put up some line dance activities to show their enthusiasm and to show their participation.
Very typical Southern culture in Guangdong. Whenever there is something to celebrate, they're going to have this lion dancing, and this is rarely seen in the north here in Beijing. So yes.
So that brings us to this question, because Beijing once hosted Asian Games and also Beijing Olympic Games. So do you think how different will the Guangzhou Asian Games be from the Beijing Asian Games some 20 years ago?
Well, it's very different, because the Beijing Games were held in the 1990s, and by that time, China was not as economically advanced as we are today. And at that time, there were not many such international events held in China. So it was drawing the attention of all the people from across the country. But for the Asian Games in Guangzhou, we have already experienced a lot of successful such international events, including the Olympic Games in 2008 and the World Expo in Shanghai that just ended days ago. So people are getting used to hosting such huge events in China.
What you're seeing now is, of course, the Pearl River, and 45 pleasure boats are lining up along the Pearl River, carrying the athletes and also the coaches from 45 countries and regions. They are about to embark on a cruise that lasts about 10 kilometers all the way from the southwest of the Pearl River to the final destination, that's Haixinsha.
I think they started from Fangchun, which is in the west of the Pearl River.
Yeah, that's the west part of the Pearl River, and
yes.
They cruise all along down
yes.
the Pearl River.
Yes, it's magnificent. Well, thank you for having me here, giving me the opportunity to watch the event, which I probably would not be seeing at home if I were at home now.
You mean you won't watch it on TV?
Yeah, so, no, if I were at home, I probably would not.
This is the route of the cruise boat of joyful journey. As you said, it starts from the west of the Pearl River and ends in the eastern part in Haixinsha.
Yes.
And also this part of the Pearl River is the most prosperous and beautiful landscape
most scenic
of
one.
Guangzhou.
Yes,
you
definitely.
see many of the landmark buildings,
yes.
high-rises and skyscrapers along the Pearl River.
Yes, I think what they are doing on the river is that when they are going eastward, what they see on their left-hand side and the northern is very old-style buildings like small houses, which is the old part of the Guangzhou city. And then on the right side is the Haizhu district, which is quite modern, and you will see like skyscrapers and tall residential buildings on the right-hand
side. And that represents the past and the present and future of the city.
Exactly.
And also the people along the riverfront will be lining up and organize different kind of a celebration and performances to entertain those athletes cruising down the Pearl River. It is said that over 10,000 people will be involved in tonight's pageantry. That includes 9,000 athletes from 45 countries and regions in Asia representing their different regions and countries. I believe this is the first boat.
I think that boat carries the Asian Olympic Committee officials.
Yeah, the officials from the Asian Olympic Council and also from those Olympic committees from different countries in Asia. But this is a very typical Chinese pleasure boat.
Yes.
A lot of decorations. This is the symbol of 5 goats, which is the symbol of the city of Guangzhou.
Yes. I think it's a very creative idea for the Guangzhou municipal government to do this. Like before the official opening ceremony, you have all these officials and athletes to have a view of the scene. This cruising view of Guangzhou city along the Pearl River. And this is really like they are actively participating in this event. Instead, rather than having all these people within a limited space within a stadium.
This is what they call an open Asian Games. They open this place for the public to view and appreciate.
Yes.
And the slogan that they put up with is they regard the Pearl River as the stage with the city as the backdrop.
That's the first bridge, actually.
Well, this is the first bridge. They're going to cross. Well, I think the first bridge should be the People's Bridge. People's Bridge was built in 1967, and it's the second bridge spanning a crossing of the Pearl River in Guangzhou City. And it's become a thoroughfare in this capital city of Guangdong province.
So these actually are the first batch of boats.
The pleasure boat will carry the representatives from Afghanistan, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Brunei. And the buildings around this area, including the Guangzhou Customs House. This is one of the oldest buildings in Guangzhou. What we have just seen, a big clock on top of the customs building.
I just wonder how many athletes they're going to put on one boat. It looks pretty large.
I presume it's 100. And they are very colorfully decorated with little knights and also the flags of their countries. And coming second on the second boat should be those carrying the athletes from Cambodia, the DPRK, Chinese Hong Kong, India, and Indonesia. But this is still the boat carrying Brunei.
Well, I bet the athletes will take a lot of pictures on the boat.
Yes, indeed, and they can also see the skyscrapers and buildings lining up along the Pearl River.
See, this is the first
Many
group
of the high-rises
boats.
were recently built.
That's the custom house.
But that's the customs house
Yes.
with a clock on the top of it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a 9.6-kilometer journey will roughly take about 45 minutes for them to complete and then embark on the venue of the opening games. This is kind of unique because never before have been arranged in such a way that athletes would take cruise boats rather than walk into the venue.
It's the first time, definitely.
Because probably the organizers of the Guangzhou Asian Games want to highlight what is special about Guangzhou. That is